Jump out of the motor for me, please. Just keep your hands where I can see them at the moment. Just listen to what my colleagues are about to say to you. Redgrave, yeah.
Footage has been released capturing the moments police arrested a cabbie drugs courier and an antiques dealer who masterminded a coke ring calling themselves the Top Gear Gang. Video of the raid was made public following the sentencing of 57-year-old antiques trader Nathan Samuels, jailed for 9 years at the Inner London Crown Court. His gang's clients range from lawyers and city traders to insurers and recruitment specialists, almost 10,000, all expecting high-end service. Everyone who was anyone in the square mile knew the number of the Top Gear phone line, also called City Gear. It had been operating under the police radar since 2014, shifting millions of pounds worth of Class A drugs to well-off high-end customers. Detectives said that the men behind the operation provided a middle-class service to largely middle-class and high-class clientele, including solicitors, judges, city traders, big CEOs. But it came crashing down thanks to an ingenious investigation by the City of London police. 4 of Samuel's fast delivery couriers, including a cab driver whose arrest was also filmed, has received prison sentences ranging from 2 years suspended to 4 years and 3 months behind bars. All pleaded guilty to a string of coke supplying offences. Last week, Samuel's son Matthew was in prison for 3.5 years for his part in the operation. Detective Constable Matt Cooper from the City of London Serious Organised Crime Team said, "We'd never seen anything like it. It was the longest running and one of the biggest drug lines the city has ever known. It sold 80% pure coke when the norm was about 50% and promised to get drugs to customers in less than 30 minutes. And if a client complained about a slow delivery, they'd receive a heartfelt apology." Meticulously compiled ledgers seized by police when the gang members were arrested in 2020 show that in any given week they were selling up to around £16,000 worth of coke almost exclusively in the city. At the head of the operation was the most unlikely of crime bosses, a man with no criminal record at all. Described as the Godfather, Nathan Samuels, a father of 4 and grandfather of 2, lived in a normal 4-storey council house, a stone's throw from Waterloo Station, and had an interest in London books and artwork. He had a business selling antiques, jewellery and watches, and owned a company which specialised in renting spaces outside train stations and subletting them to fast food takeaway trucks. These included sites outside Waterloo and Suffolk Station, which were brought to their knees during the pandemic as customers dwindled to almost nothing, and police believe this downturn could have focused Samuel's attention on the drugs business. City Police's investigation ran from March 2022 to October 2023, and during that period detectives established that the key phones in the operation had been in use since 2014. But such devices, whose contacts are a list ready-made drugs business, can change hands for large sums of money. So Samuel's difficulties during the lockdown could have driven him to buying one of these lists. He ran the business like a taxi cab office, said Detective Sergeant Darren Norman, who oversaw the case. They called their wraps of coke tickets, so a customer would ring or message the Top Gear line and tell Samuels they wanted so many tickets delivered to a particular location or postcode. He was like an Uber. Samuels was able to track all his couriers using their phones and would choose the nearest one to the customer. That's why it was so fast. Because the coke was so pure, it was only sold in half-gram wraps, and couriers were paid £300 a day plus bonuses for good sales and were encouraged to provide good customer service, be friendly and dress up smart, and as added perks, any congestion charge fees, parking tickets and car hire expenses were covered. Samuels would hire up to 6 couriers a day, each expected to make between 50 and 75 sales, and deliveries took place from 10 a.m. and the last order could be done just before midnight. One of the couriers, who lived on the same street as Samuels, used his black cab to make deliveries. The cabbie of 23 years, he told police he was making up to £500 a day from his taxi business and a further £300 from drug drop-offs. Detective said Samuels, a father of 4, used some of the money to take his family on lavish holidays and is also proud owner of a British bulldog. Yes, Norman said, following verdicts, during 30 years as a police officer, has never come across a London cabbie we've caught dealing drugs. They're usually honest individuals who take pride in all the work they put to do in the knowledge. But he made the decision to deliver drugs and it was almost the perfect crime. Nobody would think twice about a person getting into a cab, being driven off and then getting out further down the road with coke in their pockets. The Top Gear operation began to unravel when, in February 2022, another courier, Gary Miller, was caught making a coke delivery. As detectives examined his phone records, they were able to begin a huge cross-referencing operation that led to customers, fellow couriers, and eventually to the gang boss Samuels. The investigation was groundbreaking because police were able to close down the most sophisticated coke operation on their patch and elicit guilty pleas without carrying out any large-scale seizures. In fact, the drugs they found were almost exclusively recovered from customers during the arrests of couriers who had just delivered it to them. Cross-referencing of calls and delivery locations enabled the police to begin making arrests without having to catch the couriers in possession of drugs. Samuel's son was arrested with no drugs on him. Unlike the other gang members, he did not reply no comments to every question during the interview. Instead, he made excuses to Detective Cooper and Norman. Detective Norman said, "We asked why there were so many references on his phone to Charlie, which is slang for coke, and Henry. And he insisted that Charlie and Henry were friends of his, that they were his best mates, and that he kept that upright right until the court when he changed his plea." Samuels pleaded not guilty to the coke charges, but was found guilty. He also found with no drugs, but entered guilty pleas with couriers Atherton, Bretao, and Martin Gupta. Gupta, who had previous convictions for ABH, being drunk and disorderly, was caught empty-handed, but he had been witnessed making 2 drug deals before his arrest. Driving a moped delivering drugs had been his full-time job for around 3 years. Police said he had been overheard boasting to friends that he was making £3,000 a week, and he spent much of his holidays, going on holidays to Cape Verde and Morocco with his wife and daughter. After the arrest of Miller, who was given 45 months in prison at an early hearing, Gupta and Bretao, Nathan Samuels felt police would be coming for him next and handed over 3 drugs phones for safekeeping to another gang member, Joth Atherton, but detectives have already linked him to the operation. When they raided his house, they found none of the phones on him, but DS Norman found them during a search in nearby gardens. He had thrown them there, but once DS Norman sniffed them out, you could say that the net had closed on Samuels. 2 of those phones had numbers used for the Top Gear drugs line, and inside those handsets we found the contact details of 9,700 customers. Absolute madness. DS Samuels said, "Nathan Samuels wasn't like Pablo Escobar, sitting on a pile of coke. We found no drugs at all. He was calm and mild-mannered, but after the arrest of the gang members, he had probably been expecting us. Officers did not discover the source of the Top Gear gang supply of drugs, but it may not be a coincidence that Nathan's nephew was jailed for conspiracy to import coke. He'd been caught as a result of the NCA operation after French police cracked a secret messaging system called EncroChat, which had been widely used by international criminals who wrongly thought its sophistication encryption was foolproof." The sentencings are as follows. You got Nathan Samuels got 9 years for the supply of coke. And then you got the courier's black cab driver Michael Redgrave got 2 years and 9 months. Aaron Bretao got 3 years. Martin Gupta got 4 years and 3 months. You got Matthew Samuels, he got sentenced to 3.5 years. Josh Atherton, he got a suspended sentence for 2 years. So yeah, crazy news coming from the UK, guys.